Apresentar o palestrante KEYNOTE, que viajou da Inglaterra para essa apresentação. O Paul Johnson, que é o fundador e o CEO da MPP Global Solution, uma das empresas líderes, se não a empresa líder na Europa e nos Estados Unidos, em novas soluções, entre outras coisas, de assinaturas digitais e o uso dos dados do Big Data. Então, vou deixar ele falar e ficamos assim. Por favor, please.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry I don't speak Portuguese. For those of you who need a headset, they are available. Otherwise, I shall carry on in English. Plenty of words on the slide, so it should be very easy to follow. So, firstly, thank you for having me. It's my first time to Brazil. What a beautiful country it is. And I feel very privileged to be able to stand here and offer you some of the ideas and concepts and business models which are very common in the UK, in Europe, in Australia and North America. And working with my colleague Billy, we are taking the South American market very seriously. We've spent some time in Argentina this week, as well as being here in Brazil. So hopefully some of the lessons that we have learned in Europe resonate and are familiar to some of the ideas that you have here in Brazil. And maybe there's some new ideas you've not thought about before. And that's the important thing for me, is to hopefully give you some new ideas. So the whole topic is digital content monetization. And when we are talking about media and entertainment companies, and specifically newspapers and magazines, digital content monetization is very important. Hopefully you can hear me a little better now. So without further ado, we will quickly run through the agenda. I'll be spending 20 minutes or so with the presentation, and then we'll move on to a panel discussion. So we're going to have a very brief introduction to MPP, so you know who we are and some of the companies we work with. And then we get into some of the paid content strategies and business models, and really begin to understand some of the business models which are common, certainly in Europe and the USA. So, a little bit about MPP. Well, who are we? We're a company which is now 15 years old, and we focus on providing CRM and e-commerce technology specifically for the media and entertainment sectors. And we provide and offer our market-leading platform, cloud-based platform, eSuite, to those industries to help companies, media companies, embrace digital content strategies. Our vision is very much around the consumer, the end user, and centralizing services around him or her. So this means single sign-on ideas, social marketing and social registration. We partner with Gigya to provide social registration, for example. Identity management, CRM, and then payments and subscriptions. And it is that area that we will spend a lot of time on in the next 10 minutes or so. The best analogy for eSuite is if we think about Apple and iTunes, and if some of you have iPads or iPhones, you will remember when you first switched on your, maybe even an iPod 5 or 8 or 10 years ago, the first thing Apple asks you to do is to create an account, to register and to create an identity, to create a username and a password. The very second thing they do is ask you to put in your credit card details or maybe PayPal, so that you can start buying music or movies or apps. What MPP provides is that same infrastructure, that same suite of technology, which we are able to plug into the back of websites, into the back of applications, into the back of your services, all as a cloud-based solution using APIs to integrate the systems together, and then to unlock a very wide range of functionality and features relating to identity management and subscriptions and payments and billing. Some of our clients, I'm sure you recognize some of them. News UK, for example, this is home to the Sunday Times in London. We are working with Unidad Editorial in Spain, who have El Mundo newspaper. We very recently signed up Prisa, who is home to El País in Spain. So in Spain, we, I think, have locked up 75% of the market. In France, we are working with L'Équipe, which is the sports newspaper owned by Amaury. So this is a very interesting one for us. In the UK, we work with The Telegraph, the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail is the biggest English-speaking newspaper website in the world, with 170 million unique users every month. It is now even bigger than the New York Times. So this is a very important customer for us as well. In the US, we are adding more and more clients like Local Media Group, Newsweek, HBO, and Sony. And our biggest customer is Sky. Sky is the TV satellite company in the UK, and we power all of their digital content monetization through Sky Go, Sky Songs, Sky Mobile TV, and most recently, Now TV. Now TV is a new service from Sky, which is designed to compete head-to-head with Netflix, which is providing content, digital movie, TV, sporting events, live sporting events through tablet, through PC, through smartphone on a pay-as-you-go basis. The first time Sky have allowed and unlocked their content on a casual basis for their customers so they can compete with Netflix. So enough about MPP, and let's talk about some of the concepts and strategies that we see a lot of in Europe. So the first thing to understand when we are thinking about the business model and what strategies will work for me, for my publication, is to think about the customer, the demographics, as well as the content that is for sale. Magazine companies will probably have different strategies when compared to newspapers. And a magazine company with 50 titles might have a different strategy to a smaller magazine company. A newspaper with lots of different content split into segments might have another strategy again. So we need to understand the customer. We need to provide them with fantastic content, so we make sure that we have the content that is good, that they will pay for. We need to educate the customer. We need to make sure they understand that editorial content is valuable, that there is journalists and photographers and video cameramen who are all out there creating premium content of high quality, and that consumers shouldn't expect that to be free on the internet anymore. For 100 years or 200 years, people have bought the newspaper, the printed newspaper, so why do people expect content to be free on the internet? So, understanding business models, we're going to see quite a few flash up on the screen. And I think my favorite quote is, the business model is the focus of innovation and is the decisive source for enterprises to create value for themselves, suppliers, partners, and customers. So the important message on this slide is to analyze the market, analyze your customers, analyze your content, and then pick a business model from the 10 or 15 or 20 business models that are available, that we're going to see in a moment, and put them together in a way that's right for you, because one size does not fit all. So we're going to get on to what those models are right now. So we have a number of models that we're going to talk about. Subscriptions and paywalls. We're going to introduce, if you've not heard the concept before, of a sign wall. If I asked you all to put your hand up if you know what a paywall is, I'm sure everyone in the room would put up their hand. But we're going to really take the covers off the paywall and look at the differences between different types of paywalls. We're going to look at bundling content and, importantly, unbundling content. And I'll explain more in a moment. We'll be looking at rewards and loyalty systems, so that how can we reward our best customers, and how can we partner with other companies to make my offering, my content, look better and look more valuable. This is where the sponsorship deals comes in. And how can I get my content out there into other areas, into airport waiting lounges? How can I get my digital content onto cruise ships? How can I get it into the lobbies of hotels or into Starbucks coffee shops? So, firstly, sign walls. What is a sign wall? This is the concept, and I'm sure it's pretty familiar if maybe you've not heard the term before, is when a customer has a metered model on a website and maybe there are 10 free articles. And after 10 free articles, the customer is asked to register. But there isn't something else that happens after 20 articles or 30 or 40 articles. The user has complete free access to content as long as they register. And this is fantastic and very important for media companies, so they can start to learn about their customers. They can start to understand who their customers are. We can integrate social profiling with services like Gigya, and we can track where those users go in the website. We can see how often they frequent the website. We can see which devices they are accessing the website on. Are they downloading the app? Are they connecting through a smartphone? These are all important questions. And many companies are still nervous about a paywall and charging for content that has always been for free, and this is the same in many companies in Europe, North America, South America. Argentina, I think, is particularly nervous about this. Brazil, I found out this week, is, I think, very progressive. There's some 30 or more paywalls with local and national newspapers. So anyway, a sign wall and learning about the customer, it's important because it will help define strategy. It will help you define the demographics. It will help you define price points. And as we investigate some of the other models, it will allow you to pick the best model or combination of models that is working for your customers. So moving on to paywalls, maybe after a year of having a sign wall, you are ready to install a paywall. And don't get me wrong, if the strategy for you is a paywall and a sign wall at the same time, then go for it. But if the strategy for you is a paywall after a sign wall, then that would be just as good. You know, this is a perfectly valid model. So coming on to paywalls, there are many different types. The first is one we installed with the Sunday Times, is what we call a hard paywall. This means there is no meter, there is no free articles. When you click a story, you have to pay. There's no freemium model, there's no free content. I don't think it's the best model available, but it is a model. The next one is metered access, and this is the most common. This is the most popular one around the world. It's popular here in Brazil. I know New York Times were the leaders and the pioneers for the metered paywall, And this is the concept when a user gets 10 free articles and then is asked to subscribe and to pay some money before they can access any more content. We have a freemium model where some of the website is always free and some of it is not free. This is obviously helpful for advertising revenues, although I think there is a misconception that a paywall or a meter will affect advertising revenues. It doesn't, because there isn't a paywall on the homepage, and 80% of advertising revenue comes from the homepage. And for the other users, if there are 10 free articles, the advertising value of that customer after 7 or 8 or 9 articles is negligible. So you're not losing any advertising revenue by installing a paywall. But what you are doing is preparing for the future, because as advertising revenues continue to decline and print circulation continues to decline, we need to balance the books by charging for content, for digital content. Then we have a hybrid model, which is somewhere between free and paid content, and it allows access to certain content for free, and others has the meter, and the meter is giving some free articles. The interesting one, which I think might be new for some of you guys, is micropayments. And this can work hand in hand with a subscription model. So, for example, if we have a subscription model which is $10 per month, this is good for some customers who are using the content lots and lots, who are logging on in the morning, who are reading on the train, who are sitting on the couch at the weekend on their tablet device. These guys are consuming lots of content and don't mind paying $10 a month. But there's a whole other group of customers that don't think $10 a month is good value for money because they're casual users. They either can access content or they can't. And this is where micropayments comes in, because we can charge on a per article basis. We can do it either prepay or post-pay, and this means for prepay, like a mobile phone pay-as-you-go, you can charge up an e-wallet, which is provided as part of the MPP service, completely branded to your look and feel, and the user would buy credits or tokens on your website and then exchange those tokens each time they read an article. And it becomes second nature, so that like when you go home in the evening and you switch on the light, you are paying for the electricity, but you don't think about it. This is the same with when you are charging users on a per article basis. And then we can get very smart, we can get very clever, so that if the articles are charged at, let's say, 20 cents an article, and they read 50 articles, and suddenly they spent $10, that's the same as the monthly subscription. So we can give that user the rest of the month for free, or we could show them a message on the screen saying, click here to convert into a monthly subscriber. So it's a great way of upselling content. Subscriptions will always be very, very important. Every media company I have ever met wants a subscription because it's repeatable, reliable revenue. It's recurring revenue. And this makes predictive revenue. The accountants love it. And we have to do it properly. And to do it properly, we need to make sure we onboard new customers as easily as possible. We need to think about free trials, incentives, offers. We need to look at guys like Netflix. How do they onboard so many people so successfully? Free month, that's easy enough, but we can be more creative than that. We can look at discounts. We can look at 3 months for the price of 2. We can do deals with affiliates. We can put promotions and adverts onto billboards saying subscribe before Friday to get a month for free. There's a million different ideas on how we can incentivize customers to register and to subscribe. And when we do that, we need to look at churn and win-back campaigns, very important as well, but we'll come on to that. Have I been going 30 minutes already? 5 more minutes, okay. All right, I'm going to have to speed up because I've been going on a bit too much. So flashing there is some of the subscription services that MPP are providing. We've got the concept of in-app subscriptions. So as most of you will know, giving 30% to Apple isn't a very nice feeling for your fantastic content. And so if you can onboard more customers from your website and then give them an entitlement to the app, to the content that they can consume in their newsstand, then you're saving 30%. We have the concept of unbundling. So if we think of a newspaper, we have sports content, business content, politics, current affairs. Some people don't want all of that content, and so we can unbundle it. So if a website is $10 a month, each of the sections of the website might be $2 a month, so that someone who likes to read about Corinthians and sport only has to pay $2 a month. And then you can upsell them because they begin to pay. Loyalty schemes. The idea here, really there's a lot to it, but doing deals with Starbucks or Pullman hotels, you can, with the meter, whitelist their IP address, which means the meter doesn't work in those environments. And you can do a deal with the hotel or the cafe and the coffee shop chain and license your content to them to offer it to their customers for free. And there's a very interesting concept of social engagement. So if people are sharing your content on Facebook or commenting in a forum, you can give them reward credits, and the reward credits can be exchanged for a discount in the subscription every month. So it's a very interesting concept as well. So I'm just speeding on, and just really to conclude that one size does not fit all. We've raced through many, many different models. There's some that we don't have time for. But I think the crucial message is look at the different options available, look at the technology providers that can provide you with these options, and then pick a solution that works for you, for your content, and for your customers. Thank you very much.